Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Um, Let me introduce myself. My name is FINDIASARI. You can call me FATMA. I was born in Malang, December 29, 2002. Now I want to share my resume about sampling strategy. A. Sampling strategy and preservation. The sampling strategy is to collect a certain volume of a water body to be studied with the smallest possible amount but still can be representative and still have all the same characteristics as the water body. An example is taking samples of seawater like water and others. This strategy is very important because the sample when it is taken and has been used, the volume must remain the same to that it can be called valid data. Sampling is divided into 3 steps as follows. 1. Representative sampling. 2. Transport and preservation of samples. 3. Chemical analysis of samples. The test parameter can be physical or chemical parameters or both. B. Preparation of sampling and preservation. 1. Bottles that will be used to take samples must be clean and have been rinsed with distilled water or distilled water first, then followed by the liquid that will be used to fill the water and dry if possible, and also make sure the bottle does not contain any contaminants. From the previous analysis, this is because the analysis concentration is very small, so that there shall be no tracks of contaminants from the previous analysis. 2. The same also applies the sampling equipment such as pump, pipes, and others. They must be clean and contains no residue from old samples, especially the third of mold and mildew, because this fungi can absorb or reduce the things we want to test. 3. Contamination from metals or sampling equipment that can dissolve in the sample must be prevented. Number 4. Iron and bronze brass can dissolve in acidic or alkaline water, so care must be taken of the metal, while plastic and rubber materials can dissolve in industrial wastewater containing organic solvent or oil and gasoline. For example, do not use containers made of plastic of rubber if the sample contains organic or non-polar. Number 5. Samples can be taken separately using a plastic or open glass bottle, bucket, and weighed. For example, by a lead ring around the neck tied with a rope and then put into a river, a wheel, and sewn. Iron and bronze brass can dissolve. Next thing. Take example at certain tips. 1. Provided with a closed bottle which can be opened when it reaches the desired depth. Number 2. Another way is to use a can of foam that sucks. This is due to avoid surface arrest that can contain suspended solids. Number 3. Samples from tap water can be taken with an open beaker or a bottle that will be closed depending on the analysis plan. Number 4, using an automatic sampler, which is a special tool for consecutive sampling. The sampler automotive tool consists of 1. The suction pipe tip of the sampling point is limited to about 5 meters under the tool. Number 2, pump. Number 3, clock to control sampling frequency. Number 4, tool for dividing samples into bottles for mixed samples. Number 5, an isothermic city containing bottles of mixed samples by cooling by ordinary ice or dry ice so that samples can be preserved at least a day before being brought to the laboratory. This is because the air in the sample is low so that there is no change. D. There are also disturbances that may arise during the storage and transport of sample. Number 1, gases such as 2NO2 oxygen and carbon dioxide can be absorbed by the sample's water or can disappear from the sample water into the air. Number 2, suspend and colonial substance can form their own effects and participate so that one become different from the stage when it was spoken. Number 3, like substance and liquids such as mud can float on the surface. Number 4, some solute can be oxidized by dissolved oxygen so that it turns into other compound. E. The method of preserving samples depends on the analysis to be carried out and the element to be studied. Thank you. Next. Next material about contamination analysis. With me, FATMA FINDIASARI, Class 2106-0311-0090. Contamination analysis. Contamination is the entry of unwanted compounds into the samples during the sample's pre-treatment process and during analysis. Per sort of contamination include: Number 1, atmosphere. The atmosphere is derived from particulate elements of the ground surface and suspended materials in the atmosphere. To avoid this by converting the sample solution during preparation and analysis. Number 2, contamination from the operator. The analysis can be a search of contamination to the sample to be analyzed either through direct contact or through the air. Number 3, equipment. Equipment is stored in a stage of submerged asam chloride and asam nitrate solution. Equipment that is often used and has a low possible of metal contamination is fused silica, quartz, B, plastic, polyethylene, and polypropylene. Number C, Teflon, tetrafluoroethylene polymer. D, PVC, polyvinyl chloride. E, rubber, F dry paper. Number 5, Water-soluble solvent. Water is used in very large quantities, so it can have a risk of 1,000. To reduce metal contamination in water, is it necessary to pass it through an ion exchange sample. Thanks for your attention. Next materi. Welcome back with me in the last materi about reagent contamination. The concentration of the reagent can affect if the analyte concentration from the environmental sample is very small and the average concentration is indeed small. Contamination from reagents can be grouped into mineral and ammoniac acid. Mineral acid must contain a certain amount of metal. Distinguished strata with extra pure acid contains metal is very low levels. Generally reagents of this quality are quite expensive. Ultra pure, in general, they contain fairly low metal concentration, but the content of some element varies from product to product. Analytical reagent treat acids are usually containing metals. To purify very small compounds by ultra-trace analysis, the analyses are purified by distillation. Commonly used reagents are asam chlorida, asam nitrat, asam sulfat, and asam fluorida. Ammonia solution is water placed in glass bottles will be contaminated with silica, aluminum, calcium, and fabric element, which may be caused by attack by alkaline solution on glass. Inorganic solids, usually pure, not to be used directly without pre-purification, but a plain solution must be prepared. PBr lead is an important metal with purification and is usually carried out by crystallization or filtration. Organic reagent from reagent or compounds or materials very reactive to metal, so that the metal around it is made into a complex that forms a chelate. Organic reagents are usually used in small quantities, so that contamination is often negligible, but care needs to be taken to avoid unwanted incidents. Organic solvent or from organic solvent. The metal content in organic solvent is usually relatively low, and one must be aware of the presence of other compounds that are soluble in the solvent because they can interfere with the spectrometric determination. This contamination can lead to loss of analyte. The factor of loss of analyte is the process of preparation, separation, and determination or adsorption can come from containers or PPE equipment. Volatilizations, evaporation, and co-precipitation or precipitation, shaking, or adding acid. Thank you and see you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.